विश्व में सुख और शांति हो, विश्व में सुख और शांति हो।
5 आज्ञा क्लियर हो गई? कौन सी? नंबर 1
रिलेटिव व्यू पॉइंट से मैं विनोद,
राइट। नंबर 2
रियल व्यू पॉइंट से मैं शुद्धात्मा हूँ,
राइट।
जगत नियंता व्यवस्थित शक्ति है,
राइट।
संभाव
जगत नियंता मीन्स कौन सा जगत? बेसिकली फॉर यू jagat means what you see all around jagat, right?
all around jagat and this jagat also.
Basically this, because Vinod is there, Vinod's jagat is there. Outside of that there is no jagat for Vinod, though it is, and that is so for everybody, though all this jagat is intertwined and all, you see, puzzle like, but you are concerned with this puzzle to the extent your spirit is there in this jagat, right or no? By way of relations and relation accounts, right? No? That way jagat niyanta vyavasthit shakti. पीछे
संभाव से फाइलों का निकाल करें,
संभाव से फाली को निकालना करें, वेरी गुड। और
शुद्धात्मा के खाते में रकम जमा करें,
means that means you take care of Shuddhatma account all the time, because you are living throughout Shuddhatma vision wise in all relative living, right? Your alertness everywhere in the exact sense is to see that files get squared up with equanimity. Credit, debit, zero balance. Balance should not be there. So for the achievement of that zero balance, how do you resolve the files? You see, how do you resolve? By relative division of the relative. Relative division by relative. No? When we want to make 0, 5 is 0 when? 5 is 0 when?
when relative deals with relative. When relative is dealing with relative.
That's true. Correct. So to the extent to which that is relative in your vision and in your accountability, very to that extent, with that relativity and relative relation, you deal with that relative, that's all. Not a molecule more or less, right? You are facing a relative situation, so you deal it relatively, that's all. You are faced, it faces you, and you have to be before it. How? By relative. So relative gets divided by relative, that means how much? 0 or no? So balance is 0 in that case. If it is a debit-like nature relative, it's a debit-like nature relative, you view it as credit or no?
I don't understand this.
If it is debit-like relative, debit nature होता है ना कि debit means demanding, नहीं होता है? तो उसको कैसे करेंगे? क्रेडिट कर लेंगे, और क्रेडिट लाइक जो है रिलेटिव उसको क्या करेंगे? डेबिट करेंगे. How? For the debit like you say, oh, you are face to face before us, and what was the liability that was created, and now you are give us an opportunity to pay out their life. So, what was debit like on our account? You see, we give credit to you. So, in our real Shuddharma account book, you credit that debit. So, when you credit that debit gets pleased or not. If somebody is demanding from you, and in your books you do not write down as a credit to his account, he will say, "Oh, I have given you, where is it? Show me your account. My account, where is it?" And if you do show an account and nothing is there, what he will say? एक तो आप मुझसे पैसे लेते हैं और बुक भी नहीं बताते, वैसा मैं जाने देने वाला नहीं हूँ आपको। हिसाब दो, पैसा नहीं दे सकते, हिसाब दो, ऐसा है कि नहीं? तो प्रोमिसरी नोट लिख दो, चलो प्रो नोट लिखो। प्रो नोट नहीं लिखनी, क्या देखती है, क्या सोचती है? प्रॉमिस प्रो नोट नहीं देखती है? हाँ, तो ड्यू है उसको, नहीं उसको क्रेडिट दे दी, हम अभी नहीं, क्रेडिट है देखो, तो उससे भी खुश हो जाती है, तो पेमेंट मिल गया सरकार लगता है उनको। जो अकाउंट बुक रखने वाले कितने पक्के रहते हैं, they are very particular both ways, of course, but on debit side they are particular, those who want to grab देते जाते हैं, लाओ लिख दो received, and that is the proof, and then the debit. Where is your credit? No credit. हाँ, ऐसा क्रेडिट के लिए, क्रेडिट वाली सिचुएशन आ गई तो वो आपको ज़रा मजा कराएगी, तो भाई ये लायबिलिटी ऐसी कैसी हमने लगाई कि उसमें से दूसरी लायबिलिटी बन सके। लायबिलिटी सिंगल होनी चाहिए, पीछे उससे कंटिन्यू रहे इसी नहीं चाहिए। हाँ, तो वी आर डेबिटिंग यू नाउ, वी आर फेसिंग एज ए क्रेडिट, वी आर डेबिटिंग यू। Like, oh, you are wise now, you are releasing us, so that credit relative account will get released or no? क्यों सोचते हो? डिफिकल्ट नहीं है अकाउंटिंग, डिफिकल्ट है सिंपल अकाउंटिंग, लेकिन बनता नहीं ना बीस लाइफ में, सिचुएशंस में नहीं पसंद, ये ऐसा हो जाता है, ऐसा, अरे क्यों ऐसा करते हो? उसको जमा करो ने, नहीं कर सकते हो? हाँ, उसको बोलना ही है, करे ओ क्रेडिट बस। नहीं पसंद वाली अंदर विचार आवे, सब कुछ है, जमा क्रेडिट, ओके सॉरी नोटेड। पसंद वाली है, ठीक है, लेकिन चिटको मत, आपको डेबिट कर देते हैं, सो दैट यू ऑल्सो गेट रिलीज टू मूव अबाउट फ्रीली। नहीं तो चिटकी रहेंगी, उनको फ्रीडम नहीं चाहिए, बोलो ना। और हमें तो चाहिए, हम तो है ही फ्री, लेकिन ये हिसाब से जुटे हुए हैं, क्या करें? हिसाब छोड़ता नहीं, क्यों नहीं छोड़ता? अरे किसी को बात क्यों जो देखनी जरूर है हमें?
छोड़ता नहीं,
किसी को क्या देखेंगे, वो किसी को दिखेगा, किसी वाला,
वो अपने को नहीं।
अरे वो तो बात ही निकाल देनी, बिल्कुल। बहुत टाइम से वो अंदर अपना जमा, इतना बड़ा अड्डा जमाया है, तो निकाल दो बस। बराबर है ना? यू ऑलवेज स्पीक इन टर्म्स ऑफ विनोद ओनली, नो? और नो? or in terms of anything else other than Vinod? How do you understand within?
I used to understand as Vinod. Not
Naturally. If you ignore Vinod, then where is the world? So, how is the life that is breathed out is to put to use or not use? It is getting breathed out. We are losing the. We are losing time. पास हो गया। ठीक है ना, बरोबर है, पक्का? So human life in India is a test examination, not only in India, everywhere, but particularly in India, because there the belief is there is life after death, and present life is the result of the past causes of past life, past karmas. जो प्रारब्ध है, आगे का कर्म का स्टॉक जो जमा कर लिया था, उस स्टॉक जमा हुआ, वो खाली होने के लिए ये आखा चेस्ट बोलते हैं, चेस्ट फुल ऑफ ट्रेजर दैट हैज कम इनटू इफेक्ट. ट्रेजरी में चेस्ट बोलते हैं उसको, ट्रेजरी गवर्नमेंट ट्रेजरी में बहुत बड़ी होती है, बहुत बड़ा. और कैसा ताला उसका होता है, ताला कैसा होता है आपके वहाँ का?
અલીગઢ ચારું તારા વખણા
એમ
અલીગઢનો ને
ખંભાતમાં પહેલા બનતા હશે મને લાગે છે, નહીં ને?
મંજુને લગાવતા ને
એ ટાઈપના પેલા નહીં,
ફટાક તારા કે છે.
અચ્છા, એ જુદી જાતના કનભાઈ.
અવાજ આવે.
હે
સંદૂક
સંદૂક? હા, બહુ મજબૂત હોય. दुकान बंद करे ना ना निकला नहीं, निकला नहीं. हाँ એટલે આપણે જીવનમાં નહીં, આપણે નહીં કરવાનું લાઈફમાં એવું સૂતી વખતે બધું તારું બારું બિલકુલ પ્રતિક્રમણો કરીને સૂઈ જઈએ એટલે કમ્પ્લીટ થઈ ગયું. નહીં, હા, ઉઠીએ એટલે પાછું સવાર હરખી રીતે જીવાય એટલે પાછું હરખું કરીને કરીએ ને, ના તે ધોઈલા ઇસ્ત્રીવાળા કપડાં પહેરી એ તો પછી ચાલુ જ રહે ને પ્રોસેસ. પણ પછી ઘડીએ ઘડીએ કાળજી જ રાખવી જ પડે ને. ત્યાં રાખો છો તો અહીંયા ના રખાય.
ના ગમતાને ગમતું કરવા માટે આપણી ખાલી બિલીફ બદલવાની.
બિલીફ તો બદલી જ ગઈ છે. ફક્ત ના ગમતાને એને ખુશ થાય એટલા માટે એને કહેવાનું કે તારું ના ગમતું અમે જમા કરીએ છીએ. ના ગમતું કેને કહેવાય? કે જે ઉધારવાળું હોય તે, કે લેણાવાળું ના ગમતું કહે. તને શું લાગે છે કે એ જ નહીં લોકોને બહુ વાલું ના હોય એ બધું ઉધારવાળું, અને વાલું હોય તો જમાવાળું. જો ને, એટલે છોકરા બહુ ગમે પેલું વ્યાજનું વ્યાજ થવું. વ્યાજમાં શું મજા આવે? એ તો છે એનું વ્યાજ મળે તારે કમ્પાઉન્ડ ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ. પાક્કા થઈ ગયા બધા, અહીં સુધી આવી ગયા. આ સમજાય છે? ના ગમતું એટલે શું? ડેબિટ લાઇક નેચર. ડેબિટ લાઇક નેચર ક્યારે આપણે એને પ્લીઝિંગ લાગે, એને ક્રેડિટ આપીએ તો જ કે નહીં? વી ગીવ ક્રેડિટ. હવે ક્રેડિટ એટલે શું છે? આ તો વાત કરીએ છીએ, ભાષા વાપરીએ છીએ. બાકી ઇનસાઇડ આપણે એવું રહીએ એટલે પછી જ ગયું ને, અને એની અસર આમાં પર પડ્યા વગર રહે ખરી? રહે પડે જ. કે હવે આ સેજલ એ પહેલાં જે આટલી બધી જોયું પણ કંઈક બદલી ગઈ છે, એવી નથી આવે. ખબર પડે જ મોડા, જોજો. સમજાય છે? હા, કોઈ આપણને બોધર કરતું હોય તો બોધર કરવા માટે આપણે એને ક્રેડિટ સ્વરૂપે રાખીએ ને તો આપણે બોધર કરતું ઓછું થશે, અને એને પણ લાગશે કે હવે આને અસર નથી થતી કે છે, કહેવું પડે. એટલે એને ઉડતું આપણા પર માન આવશે થોડુંક. કારણ કે એ અસરમાંથી ઓછું થયું, આપણે ઓછા થયા, એટલે બેઉ છૂટા થયા ને, એટલા બેઉને ફ્રીડમ મળ્યું ને, નહીં એવું નહીં? એટલા માટે તો આ કાળમાં એ વધારે કાળજી રાખવા જેવી છે. કારણ કે આ કાળમાં વધારે કર્મોની ચિકાસ ને બધું એ ક્યાં આનાથી થાય છે. કારણ કે આ કાળનું લક્ષણ જ એવું છે, કળિયુગનું. કળિયુગનો કાળ કેવો કે નેગેટિવિટીનો, કેવો? એટલે કે બધું જ આખા એટમોસ્ફિયર ને વાઇબ્રેશન જ બધી નેગેટિવ જ હોય. કોઈ જગ્યાએ પોઝિટિવ બહુ જોવા ઓછા મળે, બહુ રેર, ઘણા જ ઓછા હોય, પણ બહુ ઓછા. શું આજે મેજોરિટી એટલે ઘણી મોટી મેજોરિટી, મોર દેન 2/3, નહીં સાહેબ? આખો આખો ગમે તેવો કાયદો પાસ કરવો કરી નાખે કે તમે તમે સોનું કયા કરો છો, પિત્તર છે પાછા જતા નથી, તો ફટ દઈને પિત્તરનો કાયદો કરી નાખે, સોનું પિત્તર બની જાય તો થઈ જશે.
ડેમોક્રેસીમાં તો શાળા ઉપર એક મૂર્ખાનું રાજ્ય.
આવું નવું કરે છે. તમને કહ્યું કે આટલો ગુનેગાર છે, ફાંસીએ ચડાવો છે, તો લોકો આટલું કરતા પણ સાહેબ બહુ કર્યું, બધી જોયું, પણ એનું હાવ ખલાસ થઈ ગયો છે, ગાળામાં જ લાગતો નથી. મોટું ચાલે આવું છે. જુઓ ને પણ દરેક લોકો, અને એમાં જે સીધા માણસો એને તો આમથી અથડાય, તેમથી અથડાય, પેલો ગાંદો મારે, આમ મારે, પછી આપણે મોઢું બગડે, આવે છે આમાં નીકળી જાય. ખરું જ નહીં? જોજો તમે આપણા જસવંતલાલ વડોદરા, કોણ છે વડોદરાનું છે કોઈ તમને ખબર? જસવંતલાલ આપણા શાહ, બિચારા ચોખ્ખા માણસ, બહુ ચોખ્ખા. આવી રીતે આવે તો વડોદરા આમ નીકળે, માંડવીનું બજાર ને ત્યાં તો બધું ગીરદી હોય ને, બધા ત્યાંથી ઉતરે બસમાં, ઉતરે ધક્કા ધુક્કી આમ તેમ નીકળવાનું, ત્યાં રહે જ એટલી બધી ગીરદી ને, એટલે બીજા ચડવા જાય ને આમ તો મોડું આમ અહીંથી આમ બગડે, આમથી આમ બગડે. અને પછી દાદા પાસે આવેલા, ભૂપેન્દ્ર પીલી આવેલા, તો એ કહ્યું કે આ બહુ ચોખ્ખા સારા માણસ છે દાદા, એમ કહો. પણ દાદા અત્યારે હું આ જગત એવું થઈ ગયું છે કે જ્યાં ત્યાંથી ગોદાને ધક્કા માર્યા કરે, આમ કરીને આપણે સીધા ચાલતા હોય તો ધક્કા. કુદરતી એ વાત થોડી ચાલી એટલે દાદા સમજી ગયા. એટલે દાદાએ કહ્યું કે સીધા સાદા માણસ છે ને, એટલે ઝટ લઈને એવું મોટી અંદર એવું જ ઉપાય કર્યો જબરો. દુઃખોનું મૂળિયું તું જ છું કે છે, તમારા બધા દુઃખોનું મૂળિયું તમે જ છો, ભાડે એવું જ કહ્યું તમે. અને પેલું બહારની કમ્પ્લેન કર્યા કરતા હતા ને, આમ કરતા. ધીસ ઇઝ स्पेशल गुजराती लैंग्वेज. हिंदी में कैसा बोला जाए उसको? मुआ को हिंदी में क्या करे साहब? नहीं होगा, होगा शब्द होगा, कम बकता नहीं आएगा.
What is the word?
मुआ means
You dead one.
you dead one.
Muah is a Hindi word. Also.
Yes.
हिंदी में
तो होगा मेरे ख्याल
हिंदी
से.
में मुआ
इट्स अ कॉमन. तो सही है,
मर गया मुआ.
भारतीय कल्चर में होना ही है.
You are whole and sole responsible for all the troubles you are.
That you are complaining of. You are the root cause of all your troubles. मुआ ऐसा करके बोलते हैं. वो मुआ बोले तो नेगेटिव है, नेगेटिव है. किसी को मुआ बोले वो नेगेटिव है. मुआ बोलते हैं ना तो नेगेटिव लगता है वो. हाँ, लेकिन है ही नहीं, वो डबल पॉजिटिव है. मुझे डबल पॉजिटिव लगता है. आपको नहीं लगता है? તમને જ લાગતું? કેવી રીતે? મુઆ કહ્યું એટલે મરેલા કહ્યું એવું નહીં, સમજીએ તો એટલે પોતે મરેલો જીવી રહેલો છે તોય પોતે માને છે કે હું જીવતો છું. એટલે જે છે તે એમ બતાવે છે, એટલે હું જીતેવું છું એને હરખું કરી આલે છે. બે રીતે જે છે તેમ બતાવે છે, એટલે બરોબર પોઝિટિવ બતાવ્યું ને સાહેબ?
પોઝિટિવ જ બતાવ્યા.
અને પાછું એને સરખો કરી નાખે, એની સમજ એ પોઝિટિવ કર્યો એવું નહીં, ડબલ પોઝિટિવ કહેવાય. हमारे कंस्ट्रक्शन में टेंडर भरवान तो टेंडर बनावे, हम बना के रखे, दादा को दिखा दे भाई देखा तैयार हो गया है, तो सब देख लेंगे पाना सब करके. पीछे अच्छा ठीक है चल मंत्र बुलाएंगे 5 दफ़े. पीछे और पीछे चलो लाओ हम विधि कर दें तो विधि करेंगे। देखो आपको मालूम है क्या विधि की? लेकिन नहीं दादा। तो देख वैसी, और आप भी आगे ऐसी विधि करते रहो। कौन सी? तो कि हे स्टीमर, आज को हम एफ्लोट रखते हैं, आपकी मर्जी में जब होए तब डूब जाना, लेकिन हमारी मर्जी नहीं है। ऐसा करके वो टेंडर रखते हैं पीछे। तो इज इट नेगेटिव और पॉजिटिव? दैट्स ट्रू। अपरेंटली नेगेटिव दिखता है कि स्टीमर हम पानी में रखते हैं, बोलते हैं कि आपकी मर्जी में आता अब डूब जाओ, ऐसा कोई बोलेगा? वो तो अमंगल है। कौन करेगा ऐसा? कोई नहीं कर। तुम लोगों करो। खूब થશે ગમે તેવો તોફાન હતો તો ડૂબી ના જઈશ કે છે.
બધા ડૂબી જાય તો વાંધો નહીં, હું ના ડૂબી જાઉં. હું નહીં ડૂબી જાઉં ચાલે.
ના પણ દાદા કેવા જો ને ભાઈ, પણ અમારી મરજી નથી બા. હવે એની મરજી એટલે ઓપન, दैट मीन्स व्यवस्थित आज्ञा है ना, उसमें जो बनना है वो तो फ्यूचर में व्यवस्थित के मुताबिक है ही, लेकिन हमारी जो स्टेट है इनसाइड वो पीसफुल एंड कामफुल रहे इन एनी सिचुएशन. तो उसमें से एडवांस में हम ऐसी एक धारा करते हैं एडवांस में. तो रिजल्ट जो आने वाला आए, देखिए एडवांस में ऐसी धारा करे, अगर डूब गई तो हमने तो पहले से ही बोला था, तो अभी तो कुछ उसके ऊपर शोक करने का कहाँ रहा. और तैर गई तो इच्छा व्यक्त तो कर ही दी थी ना हमने. इट इज लाइक व्हाट इज द हेड एंड टेल क्वेश्चन, यू लूज, राइट. तो बोलते सर चल उचार बोल
હેડ ઓર ટેલ.
પણ મારી કન્ડિશન હેડ આઈ વિન ટેલ યુ લૂઝ. હવે એમાં શું ઉચ્ચારવાનું, આપણે બોલવાનું જ છે ને. કન્ડિશન હા વાંધો નહીં કે બોલ ટેલ, તો ટેલ પડે. તો કે ટેલ પડી, હું ટેલ બોલ્યો હતો ને. હા પણ મેં કહ્યું કન્ડિશન ટેલ યુ લૂઝ. હેડ પડા, ઓ હેડ તો હે આઈ વન. એવું કરાય કે ને? આ કે છે કરાય, આ કે છે કરાય, બાકી છે આ તો હરવું જ નથી. નહીં હરવું જ નથી. તને સમજ પડી? એવું છે આ બધું. સંસાર આવો છે બધો संसार. खुद को खुद ही कोई बनाना वो संसार. હા આવું કરે છે આપણામાં, આપણી ભાષામાં બધા મૂર્ખ બનાવે છે એમ. Befooling self is the संसार. सेल्फ बिफुलिंग होता है कभी?
रियल सेल्फ,
रियल की तो बात ही कहाँ है, जो सारा जनरली लिविंग चल रहा है उसमें. रियल तो मालूम नहीं किसी को.
सेल्फ इज ऑलवेज बिफूलिंग अस.
होता है एवरीवेयर, तो कोई जगह नहीं होगा.
कभी नहीं होगा.
कहाँ? दूसरों को बिफुल बनाने का धंधा जिसने बंद किया वो सेल्फ बिफुल नहीं होगा. वो दूसरे कौन? दूसरे कौन? तो इसके अलावा सब बाहर के वो तो है, लेकिन बाहर नहीं है तब अकेले है, तब तो दूसरे रहे नहीं. पीछे कहाँ बिफुलिंग रहा है किसको भी. तो यहाँ भी उसको भी बिफुल नहीं करना चाहिए. करना चाहिए उसकी उसको सही उसका क्रेडिट देनी, जितनी क्रेडिट हो એટલી. बराबर है. इन एनी क्रेडिट डेबिट सिचुएशन उसको बुरा नहीं लगे. बुरा नहीं लगे, बैलेंस हो जाएगा, ठीक है ना? तो अंदर अपना बैलेंस रहेगा, नहीं तो बैलेंस कैसा रहेगा?
દાદા આ લોકો જે કાર ચલાવે છે ને એમાંથી મને તો મોટો સત્સંગ મળી ગયો આ લોકોની કારમાં બેસી બેસીને.
શું મળ્યો?
હવે દાદા આ લોકો છે ને તો કાર ચલાવે ત્યારે આપણે તો આગળનું બધું ધ્યાન આપે, આગળથી કોઈ એક્સિડન્ટ ના થાય, અને બધા બોર્ડ્સ ને બધા હોય આટલા આમ ડેસ્ટિનેશન પર પહોંચી જાય, પણ આગળથી જથડાય ગાડી એવું થોડું હોય છે, સાલા પાછળથી જથડાઈને મારી નાખે.
પણ તમે ઓબ્ઝર્વેશન કરેક્ટ છે, અહીંયા વધારે કાળજી રાખવી પડે છે.
એટલે અમે જોયું કે મેક્સિમમ અમે ભૂલા પડ્યા હતા પેલા રિયર વિન્ડોમાં જોઈને પછી આમ સાઈડ બદલે, પાછળથી કોઈ ફાસ્ટ આવે તો બીજી લાઈનમાં જતા રહે, પછી ધીમે
ઉપયોગ કરે.
હવે એમ થાય કે ચલો આને જગ્યા છે તો આમ કરીને પછી આમ લાઈનમાં આવતા, પણ રિયર વિન્ડો એમનું લેફ્ટ રાઈટ કર્યા કરે, તો પછી પાછળથી રિયર વિન્ડો ખરેખર તો આગળ તો ખરેખર આપણે જુઓ તો પાછળ અથડાઈ જાય, અને એમાં ભૂલ એને કરી હોય, પણ ભૂલ એને કરી પણ ગમે તે જાય ને, મેં એક્સિડન્ટ ન કર્યો ને એક્સિડન્ટ બીજાએ કર્યો હોય, પણ મારે જ કરવું પડે. અને સાઈડ બાઈડ આપીને આમ એવું થાય ક્રોસ કરી બહુ તકલીફ છે તમને તો
ટ્રેક નથી રાખતા. થોડું રહેવાનું તું ડેબિટ જોયું ને
મૂકે છે જેને મજબૂત બે ગાંઠની વચ્ચે ગમે તેવી દુકા કે આમ રસવાનો હશે, બહુ કેરફુલ કે જે વાંસ સુતાર પણ કરવતથી કાપી સવારના ફૂલ પર ત્યારે એને ગમીસ થયો, એને ત્યાં બેસી જ રહે છે, કમર બીડાઈ જાય છે તો એને ઉભા થવાનું મન થતું નથી, કમર આખું બીડાઈ જાય છે, છેવટે બીજે દાડા હાથી આવી અને એ હાથી આખું કમર ઉછારીને ક્યાંનું ક્યાંય ફેંકી દે, પણ એ સુખ પરિસરમાં ફસાયો તો આ કારનો હાથી આવી આ જીવનના કમરને ક્યાં ફેંકી દે કહી શકાય નહીં. એટલે આ મને આ ગમતું ન ગમતું આવે ને તો મને આ તરસ સુખ પરિસર યાદ આવે. વાંસને આર પાર જનારો કે દિવાલની આર પાર જનારો ભ્રમર, આટલી તાકાત વાળો એ ભ્રમર, કારો ભલો ભમરો આવે છે, અમુક જાતનો કારો આવે છે, એ કારો ભમર એ આર પાર એને જતો રહે, પણ પેલો કમરનું પુલ આવે એટલે સુખ પરિસર છે ને એ તમારે જે આખી જાગૃતિ છે ને એને એક પૌદ્ગલિક મસ્તીની અંદર એવી વિટારી દે છે કે પછી એ આર્મચેર ફિલોસોફર બનીને બેસી રહે છે, એને રસ પરિગ્રહ કે રસ પરિગ્રહ કે. એટલે આ એક
એટલે ભ્રમણાનું દ્રષ્ટાંત ત્યાં છે, એક તો ત્યાં છે અને બીજું માછલીને છે. બધી માછલીઓ ટીંગળી જાય છે ને ખલાસ થઈ જાય છે, તો પણ પેલું લટકાયેલું આકર્ષઈને સ્વાદ છે ને દેવા જતાં અને આમ કરતાં જ આંકડામાં આવી જાય છે. એ બે વસ્તુ છે. આ બધા પરિસરો છે, એને રસ પરિસર કે. એટલે 4 જાતના મુખ્ય પરિસરો. એક તો રૂપ છે ને, એમાં પતંગીઓ
રૂપ પરિસરમાં તો દાદા નાર્સિસસ નું એટલું અદ્ભુત એક્ઝામ્પલ છે. નાર્સિસસ એને એવો સરસ મજાનો છોડ થયો, ફૂલ રૂપે એન્જલ હતું, અને નદીના કિનારે એનું એટલું બધું રૂપ હતું કે એના જેવો કોઈ ફૂલ જ નહીં. એ માણસ એન્જલ હતો પોતે, ત્યાં ઉભો, નાર્સિસસ એનું નામ. અને એ કિનારે સ્વપ્રીતિ માટે અંગ્રેજીમાં નાર્સિસસ શબ્દ આવેલો છે, જે પોતાની જાતને પ્યાર કર્યા કરતો હોય, આત્મપ્રશંસામાં જ રાચ્યા કરતો હોય, એના માટે અંગ્રેજીમાં નાર્સિસસ શબ્દ આવેલો છે. તો ત્યાં કિનારે ઉભેલો એના સોહામણા રૂપને પેલા એમાં જોયા જ કરે. એ રૂપમાં એટલો બધો એને મશગુલ બની ગયો કે કારનું ભાન ન રહ્યું, ખાવાનું ભાન ન થયું, અને ત્યાં એનો દેહાંત થઈ ગયો. તો એ ફૂલ બની ગયો, અને એ રૂપાનું ફૂલ બની ગયો, પણ એ જીવતો રહ્યો નહીં. એટલે આ નાર્સિસસ ફૂલ છે ને એ સ્વપ્રીતિ ફૂલ છે. આ રૂપ માટેની પ્રીતિ માટે, પોતાના રૂપની પ્રીતિ માટે જે આટલો બધો પ્રગલ્ભ બની એની અંદર રચ્યો પચ્યો રહેનારો હોય છે ને, જે એને માટે આ નાર્સિસસ શબ્દ સાયકોલોજી ઇંગ્લિશમાં છે, અંગ્રેજીમાં છે. એમ કે
એ જ કે
રજનીગંધા અને નાર્સિસસ.
મને ખબર નથી,
રજનીગંધા.
પણ નાર્સિસસનો આ વાર્તા મેં ગ્રીક સાહિત્યની વાંચેલી હતી. અત્યારે એક્ઝેક્ટ યાદ નથી, પણ આવું છે ને, સ્વ પ્રીતિ જેને કહે છે, સેલ્ફ એડોરેશન, સેલ્ફ ગ્લોરિફિકેશનમાં you all the time get involved in self glorification, delight, relish in self glorification, and that results in narcissus tendency.
એટલે આવું બને છે. જે ઇન્દ્રિય ખુલે તે વખતે બહુ જ પાવરફુલ હોય અને ખુલતી વિકાસ પામતી 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 એ આખા પાવર સાથે આવે એટલે મનુષ્ય દેહમાં ફૂલ્લી ડેવલપ થાય બધી ઇન્દ્રિયો. બહુ પૂરા પાવર છે, ફૂલ પાવર. The beginning itself is the alerting notices. એટલે આવી રીતે બધા દ્રષ્ટાંત મૂકેલા. એટલે રૂપ, પછી રસ આપે કહ્યું હમણાં એ તે રસ, સ્પર્શમાં હાથી હાથણી એનો નિયમ છે. તે એટલી રક્ત હોય છે તે આ લોકો એને પકડનારા એ નબળે એ જાણે વીકનેસ એટલે બધું પકડી લે. એવા ખાડા બધા ત્યાં એને ભાન જ ના રહે, ખાડામાં પડી જાય. અને ગંધ, આ ચાર છે: રૂપ, રસ, સ્પર્શ અને ગંધ. ચાર. ગંધમાં રસમાં ભમરો પણ આવી જાય. ગંધમાં આ હાથી હાથડીનું દ્રષ્ટાંત આવે એટલે ગંધ હસ્તી કે છે, અને હાથી હાથડીનું આવે. શું આ ચારે મનુષ્યમાં બહુ ડેવલપ થયેલી હોય. અને વધારાનું મનુષ્યમાં શબ્દ પાંચમું, એ શબ્દ બહુ વસમો થઈ પડે. હે હરણ,
વીણાનો મૃગ આખું કાવ્ય હતું.
શબ્દ મૃગ કેટલું બધું. એમાં તો રામ પણ એ થઈ ગયા. જુઓ ને, રામ જેવા રામ. શબ્દ મીઠો એવો મધુરો લાગે ને તો ખોઈ નાખે માણસ, તો ખોઈ નાખે. આ પાંચ, આ બધા પરિસર છે સાહેબ. આ પરિસર ઋષિ મુનિઓ, સાધુ, સંન્યાસીઓ ત્યાગ ને બધું લે આના માટે. ધીસ 5 સેન્સ, 5 નંબર fully developed. Taste, touch, follow, an additional function given with the taste, along with the taste. તે બધાને હોય. In creatures also, every creature has a special code note for different situations. બધી રીતે હોય ને એની. સિંગિંગ નોટ હોય ને, સિંગિંગ હોય, ફાઇટિંગ હોય, એંગ્રી, બધી જ હોય. ખબર ને સાહેબ? બધું ત્યાં લોકો પ્રાણીઓના બધા અભ્યાસીઓ બહુ એ કરે છે ને બધા. ઇવન સાયલેન્ટ નોઇઝ પણ હોય છે.
ચામાચીડિયાનું
બધા બહુ હોય છે. અને જે લોકો જે નેચર જોડે સંલગ્ન હોય ને એવા લોકોનો આનો બહુ અભ્યાસ હોય. તે એમનો એનાથી જુએ કે ખબર પડી જાય એટલું બધું.
તો દાદા એ લોકો તો એટલો બધો અભ્યાસ કરે છે કે આ જીવડાઓ કેવી રીતે અવાજ કરે છે.
અરે અહીંથી ગયું હોય અને ગયા પછી એનું કઈ રહ્યું હોય એના પરથી એ ખોરી કાઢે.
કારણ કે એમને લંગ્સ નથી, થ્રોટ નથી, વોકલ કોર્ડ્સ નથી, અને એમને લંગ્સ નથી, અને છતાંય તે ક્રિએટ મ્યુઝિક. હાઉ દે ક્રિએટ મ્યુઝિક, એના પર એટલો બધો એમને અભ્યાસ કર્યો છે.
પુષ્કળ
બહુ અભ્યાસ કર્યો.
એ તો આ મનુષ્ય પ્રાણી આ કાળમાં બહુ વધારે અંદર ઊંડું દૃશ્ય ઘણું. આ બધી શોધો થઈ છે તે એ ક્રિચરના આના ઓબ્ઝર્વેશનના અભ્યાસ ઉપરથી. ક્રિચરના પછી બેઝિક હ્યુમનનો અભ્યાસ કર્યો તો હ્યુમનનું ખોરી કાઢ્યું કે હ્યુમન ફેક્ટરી આવી છે. બહાર જે કંઈ બધું બને છે બધું આ ફેક્ટરીમાં પડેલું જ કે છે. નહીં એવું
બધું પડેલું.
તમે કહેતા હતા ને એક વખત સત્સંગમાં કે એટલું બધું અંદર મટીરિયલ છે કે આટલી ગોટી સાબુ એવું કહેતા હતા.
હા, એ તો એક વખત આ જ દેહ છે જેને આપણે બધા ઇન્સ્ટ્રુમેન્ટ્સને જ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્સ આપીએ છીએ. દેહના we give all importance to our instruments, eyes, lips, ears, hand. But in absence of which all instruments are idle or useless, totally useless, and immediately sent out for burial. એનું આપણે મહત્વ ગણતા નથી. પછી કોઈ સાયન્ટિસ્ટે એ કંઈક મારે રીડર્સ ડાયજેસ્ટ નીચે સ્નિપેટ્સ આવે છે એમાં વાંચવામાં આવેલું, એટલે કમ ટુ રીડ, કે એ એનાલાઇઝ ડિફરન્ટ કોન્સ્ટિટ્યુઅન્ટ્સ ઓફ ધ બોડી, અને એને એનો એનાલિસિસ કરી એનાલાઇઝડ ઓલ ધ કોન્સ્ટિટ્યુઅન્ટ્સ ઓફ બોડી એન્ડ ટેક આઉટ ઓલ વોટર ફ્રોમ ધ બોડી, અને એને કીધું કે 6 gallons would be the water. There will 6 buckets each of gallon. That is what he said. Exactly, આ figure યાદ નથી. Years back when I was a student, I read this. Then you take out calcium, and that calcium will amount to just whitewashing a small KB. You take out all bones and all calcium that is there in your body. That will be enough, sufficient enough to whitewash a small bathroom. That much calcium is there in our body. And there is iron. You see, some people don't have iron, and so they are given iron tablets or iron medicine or something like that. So there is iron also in our body. How much? A small 3 or 4 nails or pins can be prepared from the iron which we have in our body. And there is phosphorus also in our body. Then he said, how much phosphorus is there in our body? So 4 or 5 or 6 matchsticks will have their tops. That much phosphorus is in our body, not more than that. And then carbohydrates, that greasy substance that is there. Our muscles and all these big things have greasy substance and carbohydrates and all this. The 6 cakes of soap could be prepared from all the greasy items in our body. That much is there in our. There is also iron, and nose ring can be prepared from gold. That much gold is there in our body. And there is also carbon. You can prepare 2 pencils from that carbon, which can be useful to a little child. That much carbon is also there present in our body. And at that time, he counted the price of each of the things, and that amounted to say $62. 62. This soap, this iron, there is that radium is also there. There is radium also in our body, you know. And all these things are there in our body, and he just totaled up the price we would have to pay for the articles present in our body, and that amounted to more than $60, $60+. And supposing one man has some problem with the lungs, he would spend $1 billion to save it, you know. But the sooner that element that is there, which is the most dear, and because of which we like our eyes, our face and all these things, and because of which we would like to look at the mirror twice. In the morning we see in the mirror and pat our body, oh, you are fine. And when we return after going in a party, we would again first go to the mirror before we take out our garments and apparel and see, oh, you look nice also. And that is what the impression we carry, you know. Again we will look at the mirror and see like that. Now, you see, the moment that particular thing passes away, flies away, that body no more is kept in the house. Take it away to the graveyard, take it away to burial cemetery, no more it is needed. Now you see billions of dollars. Bill Gates made billions of dollars, but that he thinks that my mind made, but that mind was operative only in the presence of that particular thing. His eyes were operative only in the presence of that particular thing. So you see, all these things are so costly, so expensive, so precious. Then how infinitely precious would be the thing that Kuber Bhandari present in us? And that is why it is said that before Atma, all opulence, all wealth is always present.
Yeah. બરોબર છે. બધું બહુ સ્ટડી કરે છે. મેડિસિન ઓલ્સો સ્ટડીડ સો મચ. and regarding all these medicines are there. નહીં બહુ કાઢી આટલું લાંબુ લિસ્ટ કરે છે નહીં એક જ ગોળીમાં આ બધું છે લઈ લો એક ગોળી બસ થઈ ગઈ.
You said something about giving credit to your own file. How do you give credit to your own file?
That means we have to be very observant of our own file rather than anything other than number one file. For instance, if you want to have a good picture by camera and you want to have a particular thing well focused and you want to have that well photographed, so that will be better focused. આવ્યા? Oh. ખુરશીઓ મૂકવાની છે ને કોણ છે? You
Dadaji, hi. Friend of Radha Krishnan.
is it
And he's a scientist and his name is Stuart.
Stuart in the same office?
Well, in a different office. I used
Different
to work
office.
at,
Yes.
at the lab.
But same, yes, yes. Still. Stuart. Happy to meet you.
Good to meet you.
I explained him two basic things of what I know,
Is it?
before I bring him here.
What?
Because we are on one side coin and they are on other side of coin, so we don't know what is other side.
What is their side?
So I said there are three stages where the soul traveling from one to second to third. Vyavarasi, Avyarasi and the Siddhakshatra. So, and then we come in human form and the direction coming 84 lakhs yoni. So Dada gives the science to bring you center and take you straight to the final destination. Huh? And then I explain about at night you are in a house, somebody knock the door and you will say who are you, and there will be 3 ID, me, engineer and steward. So you have to find out. When you open door you see only the steward, where are the me and the engineer? So that Dada will explain you. Right?
So you are talking in terms of science to a
Right,
scientist.
so we have to talk in science, Take water.
Oh, thank you.
This is simple water. Coke or Pepsi is not needed.
Yeah, this is fine.
This is more valuable than Coke.
Yeah, this is fine. I prefer water.
That's true.
Yes. I think one thing that might be of interest to you about what I am working on at the lab is that I'm involved in applications of chaos theory.
Pardon?
Chaos theory.
Chaos theory.
Ah, chaos. Yeah, chaos.
Yes. And I have been working
That's one
on
minute.
engineering problems where we want to use the phenomenon of chaos to actually control things or improve things. And one of the things that we have learned is that the traditional engineering approach, where we try to make things fit a certain mathematical structure, what we call the linear picture of the world, is really not necessarily the best approach. And sometimes the world wants to be nonlinear. The universe wants to be nonlinear. And that is actually a useful thing if one lets go of the notion that one has to force the universe to fit a certain conceptual framework.
Yes.
And so this is a lot like, in many ways, the problem that the quantum physicists faced in the early part of this century, where we were struggling to understand how things could be both deterministic and also indeterministic or unpredictable.
Yes, yes, yes.
And so this became a problem with engineers, I guess, when we realized that there were a lot of things in the world that we couldn't address with the traditional tools that we had. And so chaos theory has given us a new way, a new perspective, a new philosophy about how the world behaves and how we think of what we do as a practical matter.
Yes, yes, yes.
But a lot of people, of course, have expanded that idea beyond practical applications into all sorts of also philosophy. And there were a lot of questions that were raised which are still people are still struggling with now.
Yes, yes, yes.
Which go back, to the whole problem, I guess, in the Western mind of thinking that we can know everything there is to know in mathematical terms. That we can write the equations down that define who God is, the theory of everything.
Yes, yes, yes.
And that we can capture the experience of the universe as an equation.
Yeah.
And I think perhaps in a metaphysical sense now, the implications of chaos theory are that there are limits to mathematics or to any particular tool of the sciences.
Yes, yes.
And that what we have to understand is that reality is always bigger than these tools. They can be useful, but they are always limited.
Good one, good one. It's a real good approach. Theory of chaos. Really good. So you are working on this
Yes.
experimentation and all?
Yes.
Hmm?
Both theory
It's part and parcel of the quantum
well,
theory?
the quantum connection is, I guess, I am less involved with perhaps a lot of the physics aspects of things,
yes, yes.
Atomic applications and things
But
like that.
then you are concerned with?
I am more concerned with engineering applications such as fluid flow,
Right,
where we
fluid flow.
experience turbulence
Right. Oh.
and things like that, and a lot of problems that have been intractable previously up to now.
So in short, that is to say, the flow that can be in any form, maybe mostly metaphysical or not physical, no?
Well, I guess for me,
Applied forces, application field.
it would be in terms of physical phenomena.
Fauna.
For example, blood flow
Yes,
or
yes.
flow in a
Anything.
pipe or whatever.
Or anything, yes.
But the interesting problem with flow that engineers have always known and scientists have always known is that this problem of turbulence is very, very,
Very, very much.
difficult.
So does it go to the flow that is, though physical, yet it is not perceptible as physical flow, or a applicable engineering way applied flow, physical flow? What we mean to say is thought, telepathy, like that. Are they part of this whole thing?
I think so in a general sense, in that if we try to understand the nature of turbulence in the physical world, there are a lot of analogies, I think, that carry over into a bigger picture.
So does it relate to nature?
Yes, I think it's a fundamental feature of nature. I would say that.
And this is the applicability.
Yes. And then,
practical and
and then
experiment.
I look at the practical experimental.
Experimentation.
Yeah.
Experimentation, yes.
But there is a famous saying by one of the early physicists who was involved in the development of quantum theory.
Quark.
And his name was Werner Heisenberg, Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And he is quoted as saying that when he dies, he would like to, and goes to heaven and meets God, he had two questions for God. And he said the first question would be why quantum theory or why quantum mechanics? And the second would be why turbulence? And he said he thought God would have an answer to the first question, but not the second. So I guess that illustrates how complicated scientists view
I know.
problem.
After all, scientists, they are in pursuit of the core, to know.
To know, exactly. To know in a specific way.
Yes, absolutely.
Rather than experience.
Yes. And more based on experimental observations.
Yes. A certain recipe. You
Yes.
always have to follow that recipe.
But so far as experimentation and all experimenting our activities are concerned, what I realized and experienced in this past 36 years, after getting set on the basic truth regarding the experiment and the experiencing and all that from the master that is before us. He is no more now, master, but now we are in the place with the same experience as he is. That whole life and the life form by itself is a lifelong, ongoing, continuous experiment. Continuous, ongoing. Every breath. When we say it is an experiment, light itself, and in that, as a human form, as a scientist, we perform an experiment. Well, it's true. Because in this lifelong ongoing experience, there is the physical body, life physical body. And that life physical body, by name bearer or whatever it is, as a name bearer, conducting an experiment and trying to observe the results and whatever it is, and out of this to draw conclusions, which can at best, to the extent possible, be useful to the human beings at large, in fields and areas which are still unexplored, right? But the very body and physics, that is their experiment by itself, ongoing experiment, and in that the scientist is experimenting. Now a scientist is a scientist only when he conducts an experiment, and that conducted experiment, and he as experimenting scientist are there as different entities. Then and then only a scientist will be able to observe the experimentation that is going on as per the experiment set by him, not otherwise. But if the scientist is one with the experiment, then there is nothing to observe.
He has a problem, yes.
A great problem. Great problem. And your field is real good, let me tell you. And if it can be applied to this basic principle, all-time principle, that experiment and the experimental are totally separate entities. Totally separate entities. if the experimenter and the experiment are the same, there is nothing left to do research or to find out anything. And there in that state, yet life and whole thing goes on. So here, science, scientist, and the pursuit of science by a scientist towards certain problems that relate to literally human problems, naturally.
That's right.
Naturally. They are not so concerned about other problems as they are concerned about human problems, right?
That's right.
Basically.
Yeah, our motivations stem from human experience.
Exactly. So there the science basically has to be on a different plane for a real scientist. Real, I mean, not abstract type or anything. Real means basically in the living process, viewing the life itself as an experiment, and in that trying to reach the mysteries that are behind the life forces which are at interplay in such complexity as to result in so many various situations, out of which the field of chaotic field that you have pursued is one of them. And in these times that is the basic one, along with this nuclear physics and all that, it has been part of that as applied to fluids and flow. It's a good thing, a real good thing. And in this field, as you said, philosophers have gone, theologians have gone, so many. In this field, in Germany itself, in 1923, don't remember the name, but in America is famous. He had established various schools based on that. And Steiner, Rudolf Steiner. And he propounded the theory, and in 1925 when he gave certain lectures, 4 or 5 lectures, basic lectures, I came across that book. Those schools are established, and just I came across that. You must be knowing that, I think, Steiner's.
I've heard that.
And philosophy, anthroposophy was the word coined by him. Sophy from philosophy part, anthro from anthropology part, and he combined it together, anthroposophy. And there he tried to probe the science of the life and what is the behind that. And from there he applied it to human beings, right from the children, growing, nursing small tender children, how to bring them up in that way so that in the life it is meaningful for them to live these values which are for which the search is there. End result. In all these apparent chaotic conditions today we see, in spite of so much advance in technology and science on every side, maybe physical, chemical and whatnot, all these things, biology and whatnot, genome and what, so many things. And theologians went into this in the abstract thinking type, and they also went on fluid state only. And they went on thinking and trying to find solutions, mysterious causes behind this. And they talked about astral bodies, ethereal flow. And science does this with ethereal flow. Ether, you see? And here, this theory is really good, chaotic theory. That means, what is chaotic is made chaotic will result in straighten upping. Is it not so, what I feel?
Yeah, that's always been a problem a lot of people have, I guess, with this chaos theory. At least the term that people are using, they struggle with, well, when it's chaotic, doesn't that mean there's no structure, there's nothing there? And in fact, I know the man that coined the term. His name is James York. He's a mathematician. And he told me one day, he tried to explain where the term came from. And he said he didn't want to imply in the use of the word chaos that he meant it was totally structureless.
Structureless, yes.
Or random as we normally think of it.
Yes.
But he said that instead he wanted to describe something that has some general structure or pattern to it. Like he gave me the example of saying he wanted to be able to say he had a chaotic day, which meant that things weren't going like he planned.
Yes.
But nevertheless, it still was a day in the sense that he went to work and he had appointments and all of that. And so the idea that he was trying to convey, in which he was talking about in a mathematical context, was something that had structure, but it was, if you didn't look at it in the right way, it looked very complicated. And on the other hand, if you looked at it from this mathematical perspective, a lot of the complexity fell away, and he saw the interrelationships, the connectedness.
Connectedness. And
underlying
yes.
the apparent complexity. So he used that word, chaos, for lack of a better term, but in reality, what we are talking about from a scientific point of view is a special kind of structure.
Yes, that's true.
And
it's an apparent chaotic view.
Right.
He is not so chaotic,
Right.
but he has got basic pattern.
Right. It's a basic pattern. Now, it may be very difficult to predict at any particular moment what will happen with that pattern, but globally, if one stands back and looks at it, is very structured. It's certainly not random.
Actually, same thing we'll talk. And that is what founded the whole mysterious original theory upon experimentation and experience through thorough observation. Whole lifetime observation, not in the present life, but from lives past. Of course, it is difficult to have in belief about past lives here in Western culture or Christian culture or any culture. But in India, in Indian culture, the basic belief is the life connectivity, a continuous process that is ongoing process, resulting into a living form that is called Homo sapien. Living form, highest development of life. Angelic forms are not that higher human form. With the vast potentialities within, at mind level, intellect level, conscious level, and ego level, both. And these are all so subtle that present day science that relates to seek the answers and solutions to these human problems. can be only when it is impartial. Otherwise, a scientist won't be a partial.
Yeah.
He is not a scientist.
Yeah.
So, in such an observation, having this whole body physique from within and all its without manifestations under observation, these things came out from him, that basically all around it's such a powerhouse, so powerful, that this what appears chaotic like or definite pattern, and that too in its full total naturality which is there, it is in the form of the basic entity of the soul, because we are talking of this, and this as universe, and universe as this, and to seek the solutions, universal solutions as applied to individual human unit as a base, and then science will work. If unit of a human being is not there, what is the meaning of a science? Then home will come, or a family will come, or everything will come. Otherwise, science has no. It becomes rather an effort, though scientific, will be resulting into so-called results, which over the period of times go on getting changed and getting into further and further efforts to find the depth of mystery and everything. You see, that is how it is. And sciences are two types, basically. That is material science relating to matter, that is at its subtlest form. In the present material science knowledge as well as beyond. Beyond also is there. And what is beyond is not known to present day science, even though the science has progressed materially to this extent. It is not there. It is there. That theory is propounded. That all around. Radhe?
Yeah.
Kursi મૂકો ને kursi મૂકો ના તમે બેસો ને લાવશે તો kursi લાવો નહીં પ્લીઝ
Sit down, Dada.
he
Sure, how is he doing? Okay.
the way he does, I learned from him, and all of us have learned, of course, that unless you have bowed down first, other won't bow down to you. It's a principle. Always. That is the principle.
Yes. I see.
And it is not necessary for anybody to expect others to bow, that others should bow to him. No, not necessary, not at all. It's a natural result of what is inside you.
Yeah.
But it has to be basically inside. Such a, in this theory also, it can be applied. It has to be attitude-wise within. Attitude, you know. શું કહેવાય એને રુચિ
Taste.
રુચિ
વલણ
inclinations you may call near word because our vernacular language has certain words which are so pretty special,
Yeah.
difficult, very.
It's hard to come
But ruchi means inclination, aptitude, attitude, like that. So it is the basic to any physic body, any. One desires to have it or not, it is always there. It's a flow, and the regularity of the pattern will be in that. And basically, there are 6 types of patterns. These 6 patterns in all human forms. And when we talk about human forms, all other forms get included, because human form is the basic form from which all the live forms result as a result of the causation aptitudes within that are always at interplay there in six basic patterns, and there are vast permutations and combinations mathematically in that, and it results into such a universe of this vastness in living forms. So much so. And science, if it reaches there, is wonderful. But in my vision, I can see so clearly, but it cannot come in words. At best, we can try. At best.
Do you think that the real objective, though, is to know it scientifically? Is that really where we, as people, as souls seeking our home, is the objective to know it in the scientific way, or is it to experience it and to share that experience?
It is experiencing and sharing the experience both. But basically after knowing, not without. That is the base. And whole science springs from there. That is how I say two sciences. One material science that relates to outer living and all outside.
Right.
And here the word used is spirit and spiritual. But actually real world is soul and body relationship. Soul.
Together.
Though, yes, togetherness of the two. And scientists naturally would not accept soul as an entity naturally, because
Well, they have no way to measure it.
that is exactly a scientist. What you said about this theory, and this mathematical vision, and after that resulted into this field for further researches to carry on and go on, like experimentation, etc. Like that, a scientist who is a live entity in respect of the absolute knowledge, that is the knowledge of self, to that absoluteness in the realm of within the field of which there is nothing that remains to be known for him, because basically he has experienced the very entity soul as the knower, and that is the basic center of all the knowledge expanse in the universe, in the world. All the knowledge expanse, all the knowledge expanse of the whole universe put together on one side is limited vis-a-vis such an experienced state of, as an experienced state without observation. The observation with relation to matter contact all around as well as world, and very built can in the observe that whole I invent and science for benefit.
That's a problem that some people.
Well, Einstein has not being here. He is not alone. So what others feel, he can give them an idea, and it came in the hands, and they liked it to play with, and they played with, nothing wrong. And Einstein, of course, because ultimately the force beyond, and what the present of science theme is there with you. He realized for certain bodies inner vision, no, that force is there. Into the matter and mysteries of the you cannot reach, that is beyond. And beyond by being such a state.
Well,
And in this body you can do that.
yeah.
Your soul, my soul, everybody's soul, and whatever living form is there all around wherever, soul are the same. This is the basic principle. And individually independent. But attributes and qualities are the same. That is to say that suppose souls without bodies are there, of the same nature and here, and if you want to put together to make them one, no, that cannot happen. Then there won't be experience at all. For individual experience won't be there.
Right.
That is the base, whole base. Because anybody and everybody wants to experience the bliss and blissful state within in whatever situations of life are there. Everybody wants peace and happiness. Peace and happiness is not an entity that anybody can acquire from outside of anybody. That is from without. Very source is within. And soul as a basic entity is of infinite blissful nature. Infinite blissful nature. But it is under such a cover of this, though simple body appear like, but inside there are so many covering, lots of coverings. Basically, 4 coverings that are operative, naturally operative over the soul in this body as body parts in a very subtle form. Scientists cannot reach it. Material science cannot reach it. And philosophers cannot reach it. Theology cannot. Thinkers to some extent, but cannot. Reach won't be there, but they can go in the direction. Thinkers. But thinkers what type? Thinkers with open mind. And with open mind. And anyone with open mind is a scientist in the life. Anybody. And basically scientists who are in the science and research and all these things, they do have to have open mind. Otherwise they won't progress at all. So 6 basic patterns we'll talk now about it. So 6 basic patterns that lie at the root as causes for various manifestations which apparently look chaotic, though yet they are orderly. But to find out this orderliness in this apparent chaotic patterns to the human mind, this chaotic and word will in the human mind only. Any other life form, it won't be so. Not at all. This is the only entity where everything happens. Not deity, angelic forms, no. So basically, life forms according to the causation efforts in human forms are angelic forms also. Life forms other than human beings, that is creature forms from one cell, single cell, one sense, vegetation to full fire developed, all these things. Then human form. They are all one family, large, and human form. And then hellish form is also there. Hellish form. This forms means the science, and from scientific angle, one would try to understand or try to know for certain that, well, how do you say all these things? We as humans, living as humans, how do we understand and accept is for certain that there are locations or places or what are these? Angelic forms, they are places, hellish forms, what is this? What do you mean by that? Well, in other words, some thinkers take these in by way of understanding the human life basically suffering, everything in human forms. So on the based on the types of sufferings in the very human form, these concepts develop. That is what some thinkers say. Some thinkers say. And that is more correct. Though definite suffering out locations with forms and their abodes are there. There are three basic abodes. The central plane of the universe, plane above the universe, and plane below the universe. When we say above and below, it is in relation to the heaviness aspect of the life form in terms of sufferings, intensity. So, viewed from this angle, three planes, central plane where human life and creature life is there. Whole vast plane of the universe is there. Only two lives. And it is so vast that our part of the world is one of that. And there are 15 worlds like this in the central plane, vastness of the space. They are there. But it is not within the reach of, even though present day science has gone to such extent, yet it is not within that reach. But it can be within the reach of non-physical perception in human forms. It can be. But it has its own limits. And in absolute perception, yes. Whole thing, whole universe, everything is involved. It is not that the way we look at with eyes and see and reason and all, not that way. The way this light and the effect of this bulb, and in that whatever is gets enlightened, it is like that. That soul, enlightened state, enlightens. In that enlightened state, whole this body enlightened, and when the experience is taking place, at that time experience, the soul is of so infinite powers as to get expanded universally. But at that moment of experience, without being free from the expanse in which whole that soul aspect is, entity is. It is subject to expansion and contraction. Just like a balloon. If you blow up, it becomes so, air goes out, so. But balloon is elastic and all that part. But molecular structure of the whole balloon remains the same. No addition or subtraction is there. Only air was put in and is taken out, and therefore bulging and coming back like that. But here it's a gross simile, but here it's so subtle that according to the content, the soul aspect is there, but it is formless, the way light is, the space is. But as an entity, it is there, perpetual entity. So in the whole universe, particularly this basic human form, is the basic form where all these whole absurdities can open out, and that is the ultimate and final. It is a liberated state of living, fully, absolutely experienced, distinctly separate from the body functions and body aspects, and with soul aspect, experience state as the center, as the center. And all other relative aspects as the circle aspects, circumferential. So, soul-body relationship is center-circle relationship. And it is joint till a point in all the migratory state of the soul and in the human life where it has developed to that extent where the desires of getting to know as to, after all this life, having experimented this way, that way, as steward, but it never occurred to me as to steward me, really so? Is there anything other than that I can be I, other than Stuart, knowing myself as I am Stuart. You see, it never occurs. This question never occurs. And when such a moment comes, it's a great moment of it. You can call it sort of a sound barrier type. It's great. It's a stage of development on the belief scale. And then the desire comes. And then when it's nice. So it's unless that openness goes on developing further and further and comes to this stage, it will not happen. And at that stage, the search will be for the one, there may be one, though it is a rare occurrence, that such a state in a life form can be there. And the approach to such a state can make me realize that state. You see? Here science comes. A liberated body can only liberate a bonded body. But that has to be live. Body is body only when it is live. Otherwise we don't call it a body.
Right.
Right. So this is the basic principle. And when we talk in terms of liberation, in terms of soul and body relationship, as is with soul as the science, basic science, and the body pursuing other outer sciences, and trying to find out final answers and solutions in such a way that it's okay, nothing beyond. Yet the answers reached, everybody sings, no, we have to go further. So in terms of liberation, the liberation relates to body and not the soul. Soul as an entity basically is perpetually independent, without any bond, perpetually infinitely blissful state. But that is when it comes onto it as these virtues experienced, and then that soul entity will be like that. But the soul by itself is not coming onto that. But on the body aspect, that I am Stuart, and that I aspect, belief aspect, when it gets removed and gets set on the soul as that, oh, for certain I am this and this is this. And the two get separated out, and even then the gold and copper and silver together in the ring are there, but gold is all the time gold, copper the copper, silver the silver. But only goldsmith can separate, not we. Of course science is okay, but those goldsmiths, their business is a goldsmith business, and after all it is a commerce and a business as regards to this jewelry and all that, gold. And so as a business, naturally in the content of the gold goes on getting diminishing every time the ornament gets changed at his hands, you see, because it is business. He may desire not, but his process itself is such that he can dissolve this, that goes, and something is less, and you have to add little more to have it from here to a bracelet or whatever it is. Said that much will not do, come we add little more. So the family of a goldsmith will not need to buy gold from outside. This is so in India, because here it is not experienced, but in India it is so. Because Indian people are very fond of, because gold is the only thing that one can save and treasure.
That's right. That's your bank account.
And it is considered pious and all that, so many things. Silver, this, copper in various ways, and all the metals, I would say. Bronze and mixture of metals, out of which utensils were cast in India, and in that they used to take food, and it has a magnetic field effect in which they used to take that. They cast one, a good one. So like that. So basically, the basic 6 patterns in the human form are: any human being is subject to basically, in the absence of his own self being realized as soul distinctly separate from the body, he is in 3 states of development, constantly falling, rising, falling, rising, falling, rising, falling, rising, and like that, developing further and further. But it takes a lot of time. Like Wall Street. Goes on. So 3 basic. Bottommost is, and these states are definitive as attribute wise indicatable on blood level in human form. Medicine and all these too gross. Subtlety of blood structure is so subtle. Medicine cannot fathom that. They go plus, minus, A, B, Y, that's all, not much. So, basic is the coloration of the blood of that human being at that stage of development on the belief scale would be Krishna, means blood will appeal reddish, of course, but it will be, tinge will be towards the black. Black is red. Do you really understand?
I think so.
Black is red. Sometimes a person's fallen face, and because of something happened on them, oh, what unfortunate here, the coloration will come on the face. You will see that.
Yeah.
Now, various on stages, actors and all that, wonderful white actors, the colorations can change. Those actors are like that. About 20-25 years back, I read in details that just about one actress in France staging on the show and in different moods going, and the coloration not perceptible, but one can see like this. The green tinge little come and blue and all such things. It comes.
Yeah, it's amazing how those.
So this is the structure. Basic structure is here, and this is material structure, but it is very subtle form, and that too it is mathematical. That is I would like to point out, and there here, what he tries to reach is correct to that extent. In this theory, it is mathematical composition. Now that mathematical composition is so complex with such permutation combination effect that even wranglers cannot reach them. Wranglers in mathematics, they are the final authorities and bosses of insurance companies. You see, insurance companies make money on them.
Yeah.
They pay a lot. So those permutation combinations are of such nature, in numerous nature, and even it can be infinite also. But for infiniteness, in the stages of development, it enters the field of innumerousness. That means it is within numerical figures, but cannot be put into numerical figures. It is beyond. Human beings have no numericals within which you can put them. That is how it is numerous. And then the development comes, it comes numerous and all that. But it's a vast process. And basically from this angle, human life given anywhere, irrespective of state of education, non-education, anything, but basic state at the core, as to the desire to know the mystery of the existence of his own self as he exists, and the mystery is everywhere. Anyway, in at any stage of level, it develops. So at the lowest rung, it is blood is like this. That is one pattern. Then upon development, second pattern comes, it is sky color. Sky color is what? We call it blue.
Yeah.
Bluish tinge. So blood is red, but it is bluish tinge red. Red like that. It is little higher form of development. And the third development is the mixture of that blue and black with base red color and the mixture configuration. And the simile that we can give is the color of the pigeon. Pigeon. Not white, but the gray pigeons. That you can give. Base of the color is red, but the tinge is like that. It is continuous. And it has so many patterns, various, individualistically different, let me tell you. But basically, on this side, they can be classified in this layer. These three layers, cone color. And after that, upon the desire to taste and experience freedom from the forces of the life, the mysteries of which are at probe within the field of science in various faculties, the desire that props up to get freedom. And one happens to get freedom by realization as to taste and experience one's self as real self, distinctly and absolutely separate from the relative entity that life body is, that is temporary, transient, subject to changes and end. It began and it come to end. Growth and decay. And the perpetual entity as that distinctly separate. So with such a self-realized state, experience state, the fourth development, the figure, basic pattern opens out is pitta, means not this yellow color, but something like that, light yellow color. So blue blood with that coloration. Blood is red, all true, but these coloration tinges are changing. It goes on transforming further up. So very faint yellowish type red blood. That is called pitta. That is higher form. That is upon self-realization. Self-realization. That is realizing one's own soul self as pure soul self, distinctly separate from relative body self. And this is possible only through grace only, because it is not a physical function or activity of any effort by which it can be done. Though physical body plays part in this through a medium of a body that is a free body. That is why I said only a liberated body can liberate anybody, other body. Liberated body. Liberated body means a body in a disowned state with the experience firmly set on the soul as distinctly separate in totality of the all body qualities and all the living from outside and here also. And that experiencing is such that it pervades not within body but without in all living forms. He can talk with trees and insects, everything. Nothing is different from, and yet entity wise, relative entity wise, they are different, and yet that is how the oneness, which is at the basic root and nature, that is experienced. And this is his experience total upon with his grace, my experience, his experience, tens of thousands, which is impossible, because such an experience can rarely happen to few. Is not there, others are not, but the time factor that comes upon a great length of time, very great. There are so many scientific aspects that relates to basic human life and living, right from food intake, water intake and all these things, and living and environment and all that. But unfortunately, our present day material science has gone to such an extent as to deal with human and human problems in fields and expanse where it is not at all necessary and helpful, and not in those areas an extent of expanse where one needs, which is of a very limited nature, basic, limited. There it is very necessary. Science ought to have reached only to that extent, not beyond, because going beyond is something like going beyond certain powers which are not given to human beings. Those powers are there, but they have to get opened out in human forms naturally, not unnaturally. Not unnaturally. Therefore, the original statement that I told you, that experimenter and the experiment are two separate. Experimenter as conducting the experiment, and experiment itself is separate. Then and then experimenter will come to conclusions upon observation and be helpful to others. You see? And here soul and body relationship, and there the experimenter, that is the living entity within, living with this body without having any sided opinion about his own body, entity, in any way in the dual forces of the life. No side at all. Throughout life, there is observation, sir. And with that observation, in that observed state, he is with that observation with everybody. Not only human beings, but vegetation, this, that, and fleas and all, everywhere. There is a definite order. That flea comes here, sticks and bites. There is an order there. It is not out of nothing.
When one is in this state of oneness, should you feel a sense of love?
That's true. That's true. But what love? What type of love?
Right.
That love. Love that does not relate to a temporary aspect that is subject to stock-like situation of rise and fall. No. A love that is not subject to any of the elations and depression aspects, and is constant, uniformly flowing. It's experienceable. It's experienceable. And such vibrations going to vegetation do feel. Vegetation is great. There is a tree observing celibacy. Celibacy. You know celibacy?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. There is a tree, and because of the state, that tree is green all year round. You see? And the moment any lady, female, goes there near tree, like that. Yes, it is there. Ashoka. That does not know Shoka. Yes, yes. Aso palo. That is what we call. Aso palo. Palo means what a great, like that. So means what? There is a tree. Actually, it is a foreign tree from Europe, but it was imported in India.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know. Some European country, and it was brought to India by one prince in our state where I stay, and in that city, it was the city of the whole state, and there in the gardens this was planted all around. It is there today also, but now it is everywhere. So, I don't know English name for that pharmacology. Here's our so this experience relates to love. Yeah, that is true, and that is God love. God love, and that God love, vibrations and expanse and realm is the God realm. It is not a physical entity or imagination or abstract thinking that is there. It is the subject of experience.
Yes.
And that is where science relates. So I am so happy today Stuart, to meet you.
Thank you.
To listen to the word chaos and chaotic theory and all that. Because it was my famous subject, let me tell you. Having experienced this, how to find out something that is there, that is orderly in life, that apparently is chaotic all around. It is there.
Did you tell him how we started this chaotic thing? It was in India.
Actually, it was in India, yes.
Yeah.
Is it?
We were both in India one
Yes.
time, and we were traveling, I think, on a project, right?
Right.
Uh-huh.
Stringer.
Yeah.
And we were sitting
Kya? Where?
in Calcutta. Of
Oh.
course, that's the best place for chaos. In the Howrah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we were traveling, and then we went to the coal mines in Dhanbad.
Yeah.
Right, and then one of the other scientists from Electric Power Research Institute, he had this paperback book on chaos and chaotic theory. So we were doing some research here on combustion and combustion dynamics and flames, how they, for practical, the turbulent process. So Stuart is the mathematician, so, and I was telling him that if we can do this and put it for an application in actual systems, turbulent systems like flames, basically you don't want the flame to go out, you want the flame to be there all the time. So we were talking, and I think Stringer said, read this book, this is about chaos and chaotic dynamics. The time factor is
Yes.
it's unimaginable. Man.
Yes.
So he read that book in India.
In-
This was when, 84, 85, something like
Something
that?
like that.
Yeah, 85.
And then you started.
Then he started the whole
Yeah.
program in the lab. I mean, single-handedly.
I am much interested.
From
I
one
will.
book, he read that one book, and then it led to contacts with, the reference. Then it took a lot of time and a lot of research, Dadaji. And then he talked to people in Cornell University and Cambridge, and he has a network of scientists all over the world. Maybe a handful. I mean, there are like 5-6 people maybe.
Stuart, if you are interested, we are very much. And if you like,
Clear thinking he has, Dadaji. He's
Radhe, our Dr. Amin is there. He is also in this science.
and
Dr. Mr. G. Shah is there. He is the head of the organization. Organization in the sense that more than one together there has to be. Otherwise, in that sense. It is not in the sense of having a systematic following, a cult following, or a creed following. No. It is related to human as a basic unit, irrespective of time, place, country, nationality, anything. No. You see? And if we extend further, it relates to all living matter around us, all. And that is the present day problem, great problem, everywhere. Seasons having got changed out of proportion, out of time, and everything out of intensity, everything. And getting to such situations of such a pass that every time constant problems, solve. Constant fear lurking in everybody's mind, in spite of one being very strong. Yet the more strong you become by way of material possessions, of destructions, the more fear complex results. That is the basic thing. It is not that everybody is going to do away with. No, it is going to be there, whatever is there. But the basic concept is understood. But now you can't say what the basic design in the natural scheme is there regarding the existence in such a advanced state of humanity and human living with abundance means of happinesses, along with constantly lurking fearful complexes within. And such a state of life as if some wild dogs are after us and we are running to save ourselves from them constantly.
Yeah, I think we get so distracted
So,
by all these things that we are no longer aware of ourselves.
we are not,
We're
that is exactly.
reflexively.
It has gone so much a level, and there the science is necessary to be brought to the knowledge of common people. And it can filter down, not in high words or anything, layman words, it can be brought down. If you are interested, we will interact. If Radhe.
We will do. I just wanted you to, get exposed to.
So now, in short, I will tell you the basic science now. Regarding this chaotic, what you said, those 6 patterns, black, blue, yellow tingish, then above, after realization, getting freedom from the bonding effect of the body and experiencing oneself as free, separate from the body and living out the life, body will goes on, lives out, and you are there within the body as soul entity, realized state, with the body as the immediate close neighborer, with neighbor relation. And real Jesus, of course, it was not to this depth, but it was at a superfluous human life and living depth, as related to the realm of the God, that how do you live as humans, that love thy neighbor. This there is there that way. Because if you are at quarrel with your neighbor, how can you live peacefully? In the same roof, whole day and night living together, and if you want peace and you are quarreling, how can you live peace? Impossible. So there are so many common and layman, applicable and understandable way and graspable way, certain things given by him on the relative living, so nice that we'll give you one book, small book, you can go through. બીજી તો નથી કોપી નહીં આપણી પાસે.
આપણે ઇંગ્લિશ બનાવી દે
હા હમણાં નવી આમની
છે જ મારી
છે હમણાં તમને છાપી તે
ગઈ વર્ષે બનાવી
હમણાં સાહેબે છાપી તે લાયા છે અથવા તો પેલી બ્લેક કપડી આપો.
ગઈ વર્ષે બનાવી દે
હા અહીં આપજો. And
Science of liberation.
same thing. કઈ નહીં રહેવા દો. So fourth is that yellow tinge. After yellow, that experience that develops further and further after separation and realization of the self, that goes on developing further and further, experiencing the body self as separate and body self entities with relative living all around, everywhere, and realizing all living matter as relative, transitory, temporary, with the soul state which is subtle in a light form. Light means this way light, not weight wise, I say, illuminated function wise. Light, it is a light always there. Soul is nothing but divine light, original light of infinite attributes, out of which basic two attributes with which that experiencing state goes on getting developed are knowing power and seeing power. So soul as a basic entity is the knower, and all body with all its physic complexity that is subtle within and gross outside are relative aspects, relative entities as knowers. So knower-known relationship of the soul and body all the time is there, but it is only upon realization that it gets established. And upon establishment, the whole that attribute that opens out of the soul, basic two, as knowing and seeing, seeing to visualize, vision. So it's a vision that opens out, that was blocked. And that vision functions, and that is lead thy kindly light. That constantly go on guiding you, and cautioning you all the time. In certain situations, relative situations where you feel little confused here and there, and they say, hey, that cautioning will come from within. Hey, so wait here. What you feel confused? No, you are not you. You are you. That's the cautioning there. So at that time, in that situation, immediately you will have experience of that separation. Situation itself will be intense, not to keep you, let you keep stay so. But by this experience you can. So upon experiencing this gradually, and that experience goes on getting developed and stabilizes within completely. That is the fifth pattern, what I am talking, out of 6, after yellow. And that is called Padma in technical word in our language, and in English we may call it, you know, Champana Fulne શું કહે છે?
Lotus.
We can get lotus, okay, lotus will do. You know,
Padma is lotus.
But
It's got a tinge of pink.
he's
No.
comparing with the color of champa.
you got
Magnolia.
magnolia flower,
It's like a
flower. So there is a tinge of yellowish at the bottom. It becomes whitish as you come up. So that white is yellow, whitish type of yellow. And the fourth stage is yellow, yellow tinge, yellowish, not totally yellow, but yellow tinge, blue blood, red blood rather. And here red blood with whitish going towards that side. It is lessening off. It's a development state. So all the development reflects at the blood level. And then very blood level development is the resultant effects on the whole body. On the whole body physique, internal and everywhere, mind, everywhere. It becomes so. So that is the fifth stage. And after that Vandane's experience results at the sixth state. And there is Shukla, it is our term again. And in English we may call it a colorless white like.
Colorless white.
It's so clear.
Clear?
Oh, yes, exactly. Right. Right, exactly. Because there is no simile to give for that. You see? It's like that. And that is Supreme Godhood state. That opens out. And it is not opening out on its own, but on the relative side, that covering aspects, they go on getting phased out. And as they go to getting phased out, the thing opens up. Basically, knowing seeing power opens up, and you visualize everything by your soul vision as a real vision, perpetual vision. What is seen as the sins, and you are the seer. And the moment the sins are known as the seer distinctly, that distinctness results into the knower aspect getting opened out as a knower, of that sin aspect as a known for certain. During the seeing aspect, the certainty is not there. Oh yes, there's something like that. Yes, but going nearer, oh definitely horse-like. It is horse. That is definitely that is known aspect. The two are not different, but that is primarily opened out. Unless it opens out primarily, that ultimate result cannot come. It is like the intensity of a light flame and that our switch, no? So intensity of light goes on dimming and brightening and all that, something like that. It is physical, this is opens out. So ultimate, whatever known aspect that opens out for any object known, you as knower. You see, to that extent that absoluteness opens out. in degrees. And that experience results into the last state, that colors white state. That was his state. And close to that state is mine. Because he is on my head, master. I cannot be his master. And his master is here. A royal prince with all full human beings also cannot. Present day, even Bill Gates' billions are not that. What is them? It's wonderful. They are there. But it was the final stage of development that in this life, the stage has to come when automatically the way leaves of a tree in the fall season, upon ripening, they ripen to an extent to which gradually each leaf at correct time ripened state just falls. It need not to be made fall. Otherwise federal government will be too puzzled if they had to have this function. Right? Such a form. That is nature. The timing is inbuilt. So, time is an important thing. Now these 6 patterns I said on this basis. Now existential whole state, how it is, when with soul at the entity, in very short, I will tell you, very short, that whole universal existence and composition is based basically on, is composed of 6 perpetuals. Composed, by composed I mean composition state in such a way that as entities, elements, perpetual elements, there are only 6. Though in physics and our material science, we have identified various elements differently. But that is of one matter, different identifications. But here, as original entities, there are 6 only. Would like to know them? In short, well, soul is the number 1 entity, and souls are infinite souls, and souls are not alone. They are along with the matter in live forms within the live entities everywhere. Whatever type of live entity is there, the souls are there. And outside also, infinite of them that have still not reached into to be called as to come as living form. They are there. For example, I will tell you the life in an egg. What is the state of that life and the life of the crank that comes out of the egg? The difference is there?
So it's like
Embryo.
potential.
No, sir. As if you are bound in a thick bag, tight, and what is your state there within? That's like this soul state. You see? So they are not, is still out also. There are infinite of them. So when the stage comes, it's a natural process, goes on and on and on and on and on. Natural process. So only we have to talk of the forms that have come into existence as living forms, from that till the liberated state, and in between all the migratory states of various forms. There are so many, 84,000 types are there, types, and each type with vast numbers, vast, innumerous numbers together of one family like that, 8,400 types. 84. Out of which human types are 1,400,000 types. Types in the human, 1,400,000 types. Each type composed of a group of human group which are akin, allied-like formations which stay together as community and all that. That is how it is. Each type. Even in America, in all the states, each state, everywhere, place to place, they differ. The types differ, that's all. Humans are the same, but this But all these development differences are according to the development states within. Outside human like, same thing. That is how it is. So, you souls is the one entity, number one. And each and individual soul is independent, independently experienceable. And that is how that independent aspect of the soul has to be understood in that context. And that is the most pertinent point. Because normally about God and God experience of oneness or spiritual, blissful and happiness state, that is everywhere thought about, projected, taught, guided, is that God is one entity only and we are to merge in the God. That is the concept, which is not correct. It is out of certain rather expressive opening out of the mysteries regarding the existence of the soul as independent entity through the medium of absolutes and filtering down among the whole mass by groups of masses and reprojected through them through their perception and getting like that. But original is different. Originally each soul is independent, but we have to merge in the God. How it is? Because all souls have same attributes. Guineas are number of them, a heap of guineas. And anybody call, oh, he's gold. Okay, he's gold. I take out a guinea. Then what is this? It is gold. I put back. What is this? Gold. But he is separate, guinea. Separate guinea. And guineas are separate. But you say, well, you melt and they one. But here is not that. That is, you are relating there. Otherwise, if you take everything, where is the individual experience in them? And there is no question of experience, there is nothing. Nothing.
So there has to
It will be pseudo talk and just believed talk and belief state. It will go on and on and on till a point may come upon realization of the beating that one gets. That, oh, for nothing we are getting beaten. For nothing. Believing just for nothing and believing something. What sort of thing is going on? So that is how it will develop. So experience basis wise, each soul is individual. Out of 6 entities, soul is basic. Second is, soul alone is not existing, soul in living forms, and all the living form, body form are material forms. So matter basically is the original entity perpetual in its original state. And its original state as that ultimate atom which is not further divisible. Ultimate, I say. Final particle. Particle is too gross, but we don't have words for that. You see, we call it Paramanu. Anu means atom. Param means beyond which there is nothing. So that type of one. But the science cannot reach. It is the subject of knowledge and knowing in the absolutes only. Where all the elements as they are 6 elements, they are perceptible in that divine and absolute knowledge as they are. Along with the manifestations, permutative, commutative wise, of all these 6 elements in various living forms, constantly changing, subject to change. Change opens out, stays, passes out, opens out, stays, passes out, change. But the elements remain the same. Elements the same. It is only the phases aspect that relates. Now this phase aspect is with respect to 2, soul and matter only. Other 4 elements, no. But they are there. And when we come to know of them, then you will realize the whole beautiful, balanced, natural existence that we see all around. So these two are with phases constantly. Soul phases are perpetual phases of its soul attributes and soul-like, and matter phases are material and related to matter attributes. There is matter. These phases and these phases are constantly separate in the body together, two fountains. You see, they are never come together. Yet in human forms, out of ignorance of ourselves, our in-between state, belief state, because of that belief, we believe as if of dual nature. Soul is not of dual nature, it is singular. There is no duality here. But duality is here. But here also is not there. But duality is at the center on the belief state. That's all. Just belief. And very belief results in the illusory, visionary state of living, which results again into the egoism. So whole sprouting comes from there, from the belief, the illusory state of vision state and egoism. So spontaneous activity, spontaneously happening without let up, continuously resulting into migratory states, till the release from that belief state, visionary state comes through a realized state and a live body, that is independent body, with free of all ownership from the soul side, and soul on soul as realized. And such a live body, being an instrument and a medium, can deal with the body that is an instrument, though one does not know it as an instrument. Everybody is believed it to be of one's ownership and used like that, though it is the subject of nature for it to get lived out naturally. But out of ignorance, the reins of the nature and nature's operative forces, which are not of their own, but there is connectivity aspect of every living form. The way a puppet has a connectivity aspect with the operator of the puppet and the maker of the puppet, and showing everybody the puppet show, and everybody muses, oh wonderful, wonderful.
But somehow it is important for all souls and bodies to go through this egoistic phase that they must experience.
Yes,
In order
it is evolvement. It's a evolvement from that basic state. What I say, when first evolvement comes, and then it goes on evolving only till four senses open out. It's a evolution. But Darwin applied it to human beings, and there he failed. That apes are our ancestors, and nobody is worshipping them as or believing them as ancestors. Nobody. Why? We have to respect them, but they are not respected. But here you give due importance. Huh? Here you give more importance to pets than human beings. That is what I have observed. Why? Why, Stuart?
No, if Darwin,
Why but? Why cats and dogs? A wife is not important. Wife is less important than a cat. No, I read in paper, sir. A gentleman beating wife because of the drunken state and annoying and angry nature. Wife was bearing type, but upon certain time could not bear, and then she has to go to court. See, he's behaving. Ask him to behave properly. And case went on, and judgment came that now you look here, go for 3 months and correct yourself. And you have to live properly. And when the time of release, you have to give in writing promise that you will live properly. So it happened, and he went and he stayed. And some good, nice time went on. But again, the second nature played part and started. But now it is given to the court, so it is very difficult. What to do? And the cat is wonderful pet of wife, and so dear. Husband was not that dear, but they had to live together. What to do? They had to live together. So she was so fond of the pet and all this. And anger one time came, but he couldn't beat the wife. And he was so angry. And wife was playing with the cat. Oh, this is a nice pet. And you are taking care of me? So shot the cat. And wife was so terribly disturbed. And he said, now nothing doing. I was bearing for myself, but this, he went to court. And case went on. And 3 years imprisonment was given. And there 3 months only. I read this, huh? Yeah. About 10, 12 years back. Right. No, that way it is good after all. What you have to say?
No, Darwin said, he said that human beings have all evolved from thing, and nobody, you said nobody worships ancestors. But had he said the ancestors can also become apes, then I think.
But that is the point. No, you are telling.
Yeah. But if he had said that, then
then it would have been something different.
Then it could have been universal love.
Yes. Unfortunately,
the dog could have been your uncle.
In his time, she could go that much. Yeah. And even that was also little. But
that was totally
I will tell you, Stuart. You know our Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi in India.
Oh yeah.
Leader, national leader. And he was considered father of the nation, and in his life as a living example that how with everything all around he can live with the basic needs of the life, how he can live. And that is how throughout the life he lived like that. And then he tried to give advice, this regarding everything, everybody, that live like this, even politicians, this, that, see all this. You see? He asked those who had fought for independence and then formed into a party that he saw in his vision will result into a political party, and it will be the result of the chaotic conditions. So he advised that to disband this movement of the struggle, independence having been achieved, and have a national policy and a national forum. But fruits tasted one cannot let go.
Yeah, that's right.
That is the point, and it resulted. So then at the end he thought, what advice can be given? So he thought, he put 3 wise men as an example. One sitting like this and putting hand on it. Other like this. And third like that. 3 wise men. And those were Darwinian guardians. So you learn from them. Yes, sir. 3 apes with these signs. They don't see evil, don't he listen evil, don't speak evil. That's all. Teaching or saying that has no effect, these people. Let them be science.
Hi, how are you?
So out of this soul and matter, now 4 basic elements remain. They are there. They are all together in the composition of the universe and the physics universally. But they don't take direct part in any living processes and living experiment that is going on everywhere in all living life. They are catalyst-like. That's all. Now, all the 3 not taking direct part are not passing through the phases which are other than their original attributes. That is one good thing about them. Otherwise, the situation of the whole universe would have been worst, I tell you. You cannot imagine, let me tell you. Had they been taking part, even one of them, really, I will tell you how.
To what? No.
Huh? આપણે અડધા 15-20 મિનિટ પતાવી દઈએ.
ના ના
પાણી કાઢી આપજો ને બેટા. નમસ્કાર નમસ્કાર નમસ્કાર. Greatest relation in the world is the mother. There is no other relation greater than mother. All relations merge into that. Father comes later, but mother is base. So, soul, matter. Third is space. If living forms have to exist, where do they exist? Matter is matter, soul is soul. Where do they enact the drama without having a stage? They have to, space have to be. So space says, I have got infiniteness of nature and I have infiniteness of generosity of accommodating anything that desires to be accommodated in its infinity. So there is space element, it is there all. So space as single one element is only one, and it is of infiniteness, and within that infiniteness of the space, the universal expanse and existence position that is there in the center of the space as a universal space, that is called universal space. As a, from the point of view of the occupational part of the space by the universal existence. Otherwise, space element is the one. It does not divide the space in two, but because of our universal existence, to understand the basic elements as they are, we call and come to know and understand space as like this, that space as a one element only, ultimate experience. But till that we reach there, here it is like this, universal space. So universal space, in universal space, space is there. Along with that, for existence, for soul and matter to exist in the accommodative space, there has to be this matter, it is the supplying aspect of the body formation, body building blocks and all that. So how do of its own it come and go and all these things? They have to come near for body formations, and they are very subtle processes. So how do they come? Who will bring them? Space cannot bring them, space is space only. So there has to be an element, and that element is a universal element, only one, and that is motion. You follow? Motion is an element. It is only one element, all pervading and existential as an element, original element, one element throughout the universe, but in the universal part only. And space is infinite, only space out of all the elements, only space, one. And liberated souls above the universe, infinite, in their own individuality, infinite blissful state, they are there, just above the universe, where all the expanse of the space is there, and there they are there. They are space-like though, but they are liberated, infinite, a blissful state there. It is not that they are non-active, but because active word and activity we understand with relation to the physical activity, that we can see, breathe and all these things. No. Activity is the natural attribute activities that constantly, a diamond displaying diamond qualities is diamond quality displaying activity. Therefore it is a diamond, not a piece of glass. That is how it is. So fourth is motion, and whatever we see motion in the whole universe is because of that element together. So So it is a catalytic like, but that element itself is catalytic like presence, due to which the motion that we see is there in the body, living forms, and whole universe everywhere. Angels motion, others motion, human, these, everything. Whatever motion you see is because of that.
When you say motion, could you also say change, or is change?
Yeah, exactly. Change is coming different.
Okay.
Is coming further.
Okay.
Further. So motion is one element. Now if motion is there, and there is not a corresponding element of inertia, then constant motion would result in non-existence of the universe and everything. No, it is not so. So whatever motion is there, there is an inertia element which is responsible which for anything in motion to come to stillness. It's an inertia element, is one element in the universe only, not beyond. So motion and inertia here, space infinite, matter only in the universal aspect, not beyond. And last element, sixth, is time. Time as an elemental aspect basically is so subtle that present this atomic clock time is too gross. So it is very difficult to understand that time aspect in its original elemental form. When we say element, it is not matter like. It is matter as a material element. It is not material. That is one very wonderful point. Now I will give you some simile to understand time. Now matter in its ultimate undivisible state, further beyond which that cannot be divided, that particle size, say here, and similar particle size here is there. So this particle passes that other same particle, and the time from here to go, and whatever that measure unit, that is the elemental time. It is so subtle that it is perceivable in absolute vision only. So absolutes, they see all these six elements with soul as an absolute state, knower, seer of all the known seen aspects of, and all the elements as they are as elements. That is absolutes. So in the living form, when they are there, their body is so separate that in a coconut, the shell, dried shell, that is whole inside, and shell is outside, and kernel, that is totally separate. All water is dried out. Like, you follow? And body, life body is there till the lifespan, that is ultimate body. And after that, the true liberated state, just above the universe, in this space, not of its own, soul has no motion. But soul associated with the motion in the previous life, experimental life, and that experimental stage that was there in the causal state, in this effective last moments, and body falling apart and soul going, that experimental state by itself, soul goes. Soul by itself does not go, but that motion related and inertia related, and where it is there, it is lost, where all the elements ain't there, and only space is there, and liberated souls are there in their infinite blissful state. So much so blissful, even a drop falls on this earth, our world. For months together, whole world, everybody, all living form will be quenched in blissful states, happiness. They will be quenched. Just simple. And that is the infiniteness of that. Each one of us had got that, but it is latent. It is latent. It is experienceable in this very body, because it is not abstract. It is not subject to imagination. You can taste, experience it. Yes, that is the basic thing. Because, and therefore, this experience, what science cannot accept for the soul side as soul, and experience at the soul level, not understanding soul as soul, is there, experienceable in this very physic body. The way this physic body as a scientist, conducting so many experiments in the science is trying to pursue the science exterior. You see? In the same body you can experience this thing. And very experience in this body of your realized state with pure soul as the center and body as subject to relative time. And that passing of phases, the time is the element that is responsible for causing changes of the situations. Time is this. Time, unless it is there, the situations, the phases, old and new, will never be there. It goes on constantly. That is the responsibility. That is time. So, in this whole scheme of all the naturality, and with that naturality and under that operative whole thing, all living forms get operated out. And that naturality is not of its own. It is so interconnected with the living aspects and living forms, directly connected to the human form. Directly. And that is superpower. You can call it cosmos or what is. That is how. And why? Because in human form, the power that are developed and opened out are so vast that what is not ownable is owned as of one's own ownership. Basically, the action and activity. And this ownership is in so subtle within the body, in every body, at mind level. Mind is so subtle in this whole physical body that no scientist can ever dissociate mind as a physical entity from the body, even though it is physical. No. Nobody. Experiments different they will do, but scientists will not agree to that. Consciousness, clairvoyance, perception, so many things. They tried to find out the greatness of Einstein, and now that 15% law is this left person. So these people tell people, what is this? It's all play. You see? So 6 elements, and this is the whole play. This basic 6 elements of which whole universal composition of all the living forms in perfect balance that is going on continuously in a wonderful pattern is also the body and soul relationship here, and within this body only this composition of those 6 elements are there. And that way oneness aspect of the experience of the body with the universe and universe as me, that happens not as a universe but as universal living forms. You can be, from here you can be have connectivity aspect by experience with the passed away. Yes, that's true. Or angels, everything. But our limited experience is to physical level, so it is beyond that. This is the experience. Experience cannot come in words at all, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
A sugar, knowing sugar is sweet, 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 sweet. What sweet? Well, this way sweet, like this. Oh no. But then one wise person says, okay, put in the mouth. Oh, it's good, sweet. Oh, that is sugar. How sweet? Oh, I can't say, but it's sweet. Till that, from books, textbooks, everything, you try to learn, but you cannot experience it.
Well, actually that's also true of science, even though we don't often realize it.
That's true.
That, for example, in physics, there are 4 undefined quantities: force, mass, length, and time.
Correct.
And we only know those things by experience. We can't define them
Yes,
in
you can.
any other way other than just experience it.
Right. No, mass you say, no? Mass means weight.
Yeah.
Now look here, science. Well, wonderful proposition and propounding of the whole mystery regarding the mass and the weight. And that results into everything. Time gets related and everything there. So, when we think and talk of mass, mass does have weight, right? Atoms have their own numbers and weight, or no? So mass has weight. Now, in this body-soul situation and relationship, you know, the migration aspect of the living forms with soul as an entity, yet in the sense of mass that is related to matter, it has no mass, and yet it has infinite energy, whereas mass related to the matter, and from that the energy that is opened out, we can see that also, but it has opened out from the subtleness part of the mass. You see? And why it has opened out? Because the attribute of the matter in its elemental form is to be active. Active means not motion again, let me tell you, active. It's a trait, I tell you. And motion is totally different again. And here it comes, the relation and how it helped here. But unfortunately, it was in wrong field. The way children, though having given guns or pistols or but when they go beyond, the results are different. Totally different. So, in the realm of the nature and natural mysteries and matter included, there are limitations to which one can go. And those searches are not required to that extent to extend our efforts lifelong and to lose the invaluable aspects of life after that. Even though professionally or by pursuit wise that is there, let it be there, because it is nothing but a part and parcel of the whole drama. Is it not so?
Yes, sir.
Part and parcel of the whole drama. You are given, there's, go ahead, nothing wrong in it. It is not to be interfered at all. That is true. That is true. It's wonderful to, because I can see, but it is within my experience. So, in very, very great limitations I can bring out. But it can come out only upon question answer session. It can best come out. That is the only way for it to come out. Because I have got such vastness within that we had to take all this thing like all this. And yet, serenity in all moods is there, which Pacific does not know, in spite of being so vast. So serenity. If Pacific were to lose its serenity, whatever the situation, coastal towns and all, Doctor?
You said that soul is different in everybody because everybody's experience is
independent. Different, independent. Independently existing, same entity, independently existing as independent entity, but same qualities. So therefore, experiencing in different relative bodies can be the same. And there will be resulting into oneness, experience aspect, oneness. It can be, that is the basis. You understand? And then love is there. The love point. Yes.
That is the only point.
When we have these experiences, like they are basically sensory
It
experiences.
is called pure love. Pure love.
When we have these various experiences, sensory experience, emotional experiences, all these experiences, they are all at the matter level. So the soul is not affected by all those experiences.
There is no question of soul getting affected at all. Whatever effect and effective parts are there, it is only on the other side of the soul, that is matter. But which matter? The matter that has come into a state that is not of its own original attribute, but in a different phase, only phase, that's all. Attributes are not lost, but it is in a phase, the attributes of which are neither of the matter nor of the soul. They are third attributes. And yet, matter and soul are not compounded. They are just in the mixture form.
Can be separated.
Yes. And the matter that is there, the state of the matter phase, which is the attributes of which are neither of the matter as original attributes nor of the soul as original attributes. Those attributes are such, they are only phasing type, phased out type. They are subject to time, motion, inertia and everything. And space occupation part, occupying the space as owning, though space cannot be owned. Can it be owned?
No.
And yet it is occupied as owned. So liberation and the experience comes here in the elemental form. You can experience your soul self distinctly separate from the matter with all these four elements as independent elements. Gradually that experience will open out. It is so opened out within us that we very clearly see, we can extend. Grandson. So we can experience in this body our invaded part of the space materially, with mind as the entity, intellect as the entity, body consciousness as the entity, body ego is as the entity, and with all the inner parts of the physical body subject to anatomy, as well as gross outside. Everything. This is your composite machine, full, in perfect order, natural unison, such a way that time-wise, it is so timed by not anybody. Time element does not time it, but we get timed as owning time, which cannot be possible. And that is how we have come in this dependency. We have to make watches and clocks, otherwise we cannot be regulated. Though the human forms and life is naturally regulated. Wonderful. Otherwise, in the morning nobody we can get up. Neither one can go to sleep. So fine. So
is it Dadaji, even for in your living life, for everybody, the matter and soul are together in this body separately, and this apparent third
inner state.
as
It's a state only. State means phase. What you said, it's changing.
Is there a
phasing.
Is there a
And that is also material, but it is at such a subtle plane that no scientist can reach there. Only a self-realized, experienced soul state within whose knowledge everything is open, he can see within and without in everybody also that point, and at that point he can operate upon one through the grace function and physical experimental state through the speech in a divine experiment that will be getting conducted for self-realization. And it is such a bloodless surgery at the mind level to dissociate mind distinctly separate from you as soul. And unless the separation at mind level comes, one can never experience and taste the freedom from the bondage of the body. So mind and at mind level, whole sprouting bonding aspects as causes and causation effect, states is there. So whatever in the body happens, the first agitational thing in a very subtle form is at the mind level, and those agitational forms at the mind level, though appearing in a body form, body side, totally body side, which does not belong to us at all as soul, but we do not know as to who am I, and therefore knowing the body self as me and I, and owning the body also. So owning the mind also, though mind today is beyond ownership as a different entity, as living out entity. It's a discharging out entity, the phase that has opened process. You see? As if there I, and that I everywhere throughout the thought processes goes along with that I, and it becomes one there. And being one there, along with the thought process, becomes the owner of the thought. And as an owner of the thought, desires to be
Part of it.
phased out. Extremely difficult to keep thoughts inside, though everybody tries to do so. Not let thoughts come out so that somebody would see and put in the different peculiar situation, but that cannot happen. It goes. So for that to phase out and come out, those thoughts at that subtle level are expressive, and when we say word expressive, very expression word relates to the speech. So speech at such a subtle level, as of ownership of the mind, results there as a springing fountain sprouting up, and those particles, that agitational force and opening force, could not remain within, will get expressed out, and there tongue is nothing but an instrument for getting extra out. It is like a bow, nothing more, and the missile is released. Missile is released. So Bush must to stop these missiles instead of spending on that. And such a costly missile still shield at home. This is very necessary. Everybody needs this. What?
Dada,
Come near.
I promised myself I'd ask this question before. If we are all our souls are different, right? But we have the same quality.
I don't say different.
Huh?
I say independent.
Independent.
There is a you said not different.
Not different.
Independent.
And after we get moksha, we won't come back.
Why do you say want to go? Where is the question of going and coming?
After
it is not there. There is no after or before now.
But Dada, then why did I if I wanted only to be
You are not wanted there.
No, that not me. But if my Atma is
What my Atma? You.
Oh, okay.
You.
Me. I.
In my absolute state.
In my absolute state, why did I want to come down?
Where is the question of the absolute state to stay? Why now? No speech there.
No
It
speech.
is beyond.
But Dada, why am I here? Why did I come?
Because
this?
you are associated with the speech. That is why.
Talk too much.
Hey, that's
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you should talk, Uncle.
No, because you are associated with the speech along with the opinion.
That's right. The opinion part.
And opinion is the father of the mind, resulting mind at causal level. Do you understand?
I understand that.
An opinion. And unless that opinion gets expressed out, missile won't fly out, and you won't have those circumstantial evidences that can result for you to get born. There will be inside, and it will be at least manageable.
So at some
But once it gets expressed out, then it is not in your hand. And therefore, the conception by you, for you, as you, is a living form that happens within you, materially, you as material, matter, living like matter, and for getting lived out again as per desires, as living matter, according to the feelings and opinions and expressions get expressed out, and that speech is the medium, and that is called mother. So father and mother together gives birth to this at causal level, and continuous in the effective body that is getting lived out as a lifelong ongoing experiment. Naturally, this new causal body goes on getting formed in a molecular form and a structural form, very just like this atomic science, and their design is there. Those 6 designs I told, it is becoming there constantly, and that happens in human form. So in the very human form, living out life with human attributes as human form, that will result into a human form. So the material causal matter that is lodged there and accumulated there as formed to live out grossly, they are human form like. They have body, weight and all these things. You see, if the life is lived out which such feelings, desire, forces inside, where as a sum total of the whole life, and at the end resultant forces are non-human like, leaning towards creature forms according to the type of living, the type of creature causal formation, that one life goes on getting result. Only one life at the end, formation process goes on, it results into life. And the arithmetic behind this is, if you have a 60-year span of life, 60 years, 2/3 lifespan that goes, it's a freelancing period. There one can live life freelancing like. There is a scope not to get involved there. There is a scope. But basically that freelancing gets circled, and after 40th year, first day of the 41st year till the 60th year, 1/3 span, that whatever causal molecular structures are there in the body, they go on. In that whole formation process takes place there for the next life. And now, if next life is to be human life, that formation process is related to that one life only. But in the human life, life lived out is of lives other than human being. It can be superhuman like, it can be human like, it can be animal creature nature like, or it can very negative very negative forces living like life, very negative. And negative living life is called hellish living, that's all. It is very here, and those are the results only here basically. You understand? And that is how it results. So human and creature forms are this way, you see, in different ways, so many different ways.
So it's not
And angel forms, superhuman living, results into accumulation of such material building blocks, of causal blocks. They are very light in weight, mass with very light in weight of a definite configuration, resulting into angelic forms, body forms, which are not like this. They are not such bodies. They are just fog like, this thing and this, and their powers have so wide they acquired here superhuman living like. That means you oblige the other one even though he is negative. You know, but even then you oblige. He should reciprocate, but he negatively reciprocates. Even then you let go and you oblige him. But you don't find in these times this living.
Do you do that?
In these times, in these times, at the earliest possible moment, without in such a surreptitiously snatch, grab and snatch. Oh, that is the living, right? No.
So it's not evolution, Dada. That's what I'm asking.
Evolution is after human form, no. But till the achievement of human form, yes. And out of human form, except the living forms which have four senses opened out, all the rest forms are creation of human forms, angelic creatures as well as hellish, and including humans. But below five senses, that it falls much sleep, that living is much such a non-human life. And then again to come back, it's in the evolutionary stage. So from one sense animals, one cell animals, and coming and growing into, first that opens out is touch. Vegetation has touch sense. They do feel touch. Cut, they have feelings, but they can't express. That's all. They can't express. It is there. Vegetations of there is various types, and there also, according to human development and all these things, they are there. From primary to develop forms and also many vegetation.
You know that, right? Poison ivy.
There are carnivorous forms. There are carnivorous plants. Oh,
Carnivorous plants?
yes, yes. There are strictly vegetarian vegetations also. Everything there. So, and that is one cell, one sense opens, touch sense. And then over a long period of time, on the land, in the water, or in the air, you see, science has proved this, that vegetation at certain stage come to the stage of motion body with taste opened out. In land, it is those worms and all these things. In water, those primary taste, all these things. See, not fishes, but other things. You know, marine life. Moving I say. That is second sense is opened out. This couches and sails and moving like all these things. Touch, taste. And whatever sense that opens out freshly, it is most powerful. And over a period of time, it goes on getting so habituated, then the originality loses. Originality loses.
Soul come in that form. Why did they?
Soul does not come. Soul is soul at this place. No, nothing happens to soul. No, I will tell you later on, you meet me. For that you have to come a one-on-one class. No. Okay? Chal. Stuart, very happy to meet you. It's so nice a meeting. And I will give you this book. Pick up. This is compiled by Dr. J.P. Amin. Actually, his life is a spiritual life. He was principal in a college in India, and he had lots of degrees that you can find out. But in spiritualism, he has even, I think, Western philosophies also you have got something, but basically Indian culture and all that. Everything, Quran and all universal. So, all together sitting in all these things, this compilation is there regarding this science. He desired that let it be put in a certain textual form that can serve as a basic text, in short, concise, for these to go further. No? I am giving you.
It'd be helpful.
Yes.
Did you get a copy of the program for the next 5 days?